Just using a light spray. You don't need it dripping wet, but you want it saturated enough that you can work with it and do your sectioning. So we'll just spray her down just a little bit. I'm going to start my sectioning off. I'm going to do the mohawk section. So there's going to be 3 sections to this haircut. So you're going to do mohawk section all the way to the back. Work your way down. And you're going to want it more in a square shape, so when you do your sectioning, you don't want it in a U shape on the top, more like a square, as you can see. So I'm going to get one of my clips. I'm going to clip that part off. And I'm going to start by doing my perimeter of the haircut. And for this haircut, I like to use a 3 guard. So I'm going to put that 3 guard onto my clipper. And remember, when you put your guards on your clippers, you always want to hear a snap so that you know that your guard's securely fastened into your clipper. Alright, so I'm going to start with the 3. My lever is up, my blade's closed, as you can see. So this is a true 3 with a plastic guard. So I'm going to start at the nape area. I'm going to slightly tilt her head down just a little bit so you get a natural graduation. And for my faux hawk, you're going to want to bring up your guide almost as if you're doing a high fade. And anytime you do a high fade is going to be right above the temple area. And if you're doing a high and tight, that's going to be at the round of the head. So we're just going to do a high fade for this haircut. As you can see, I'm using a C motion around the ears. This just ensures that I grab every long hair. And what I'm doing is I'm creating a guide all the way around for the rest of my haircut. Once I create my guide, that's going to establish how far up I go for my blending. And we like to call that the blending zone. So once you determine how far up you're going, so in this instance you're going to be doing a high fade, so you're going right above the temple area. Then you're going to blend whatever is above that into the top working section of your haircut. And don't worry about the longer hair, like I said. That's all going to get blended up. Alright, so I just did my 3 around. I'll actually tilt the head right back up, straight position. I'm going to go back in with my 3 guide and my clipper comb. I'm just going to take care of some of that longer hair that was left. So in reality, using the 3 guide and your clipper comb, you're actually going to get a 4. So this is slightly blending it, just a smidge, without actually using another guard. And what I mean by using another guard is that I don't take this off and go grab a 4 guard. I can easily just do it with my clipper comb and my number 3 guide. So I'm just taking care of some of that longer hair that was left. Anytime you do this type of haircut, whether it's a men's haircut or a women's haircut, always remember, if it's a men's haircut, you're going to want more of a square shape in the the blending zone versus a rounder shape if it's a woman's haircut. And this haircut's very trendy right now for both men and women. And if you'd like to mix it up a little, you can do more of an undercut style for your women clientele. For your men's haircut, you can add more detail to it by tapering down the neckline or the sideburn area. Alright, so now that I got that, we're going to start at our top working section. Now I like to use my clippers, but you may use shears if you'd like. This part doesn't really matter if it's a clipper or shear, just preference. So you're going to want to comb some of that down. And I like to leave a small section in the front and then start my guide right here. And the reason why I do this is just determining whether my client likes it higher up, just a smidge on the haircut, or likes it all blended forward. And that's just preference. So I'm going to grab my chrome style and I'm going to start working on my top working section. And I'm going to take small subsections. So as you can see, I sectioned off my front. And I'm just going to take a small subsection. I'm going to determine how high I want my faux hawk. Turn my clipper on. And like I said, you may use shears if you'd like. It's fully preference. So now I've established my guide on top, and I'm going to work my way back using the same guide, taking small subsections. And if you are using a clipper, you can take larger sections, but you don't want to take too much of a section because then you'll end up leaving lines of demarcation where you don't quite mean to blend it. Or if you take larger subsections, it'll be more noticeable, so you'll see steps or shelves, as they call them, throughout the haircut. So always make sure that you take good amount of subsections, but they're not too thick. And a good guideline for subsectioning is to see your guide, and if you can see your guide through your section, then you can cut it. But if you're taking too much of a larger subsection and you can't see your guide, then that means that subsection is much too large and you should not cut. That way, if you do cut, you might lose your guide and you'll end up with two guides and not know where to blend it properly. So I'm just going to work my way back. Once I finish the middle section, I'm going to work my sides in and blend it all. And this haircut should take you about, depending on skill level, should take you about 15 to 20 minutes. Like I said, depending on skill level, if you're more of a seasoned professional, it should take you a little less. But if you're more of a beginner, take your time. Make sure you always check your haircut for balance. A good haircut is going to have great proportion and great balance. And at the end of the haircut, you should not have to use any product, just water and your hands. So I'm going to continue my top working area all the way back. And whenever you do any cross checking, you always want to go against the way that you cut it. So if you're cutting front to back, you want to go side to side just to check your sectionings and make sure everything is properly cut. And like I said, if you want to use shears at the top, you may very well use shears, but if you want to use clippers, you can use your clippers as well. And I like the wall chrome style because it's lightweight, it's got a nice blade on it, and it does have an adjustable all-in-one blade, so it will adjust to a half for you. Or you may use your full-size clipper as well for this, just depending on what you want to do and what you have to work with. So now that I have my top working area cut, just going to go in and cross-check, make sure I got every hair. Make sure it's all blended. Check for proportion, make sure your haircut's evenly proportioned.